I've just seen an old clip, which I've seen before, but I thought would make for a interesting video topic. Not quite topical, but semi-topical, and I'll explain why. So the video clip is from 5 years ago, 2014, at the time of the Sinjar genocide, alleged genocide, at the hands of ISIS in northern Iraq, when there was real calls for action to be taken against ISIS. Indeed, there was action taken against ISIS. But anyway, this was a debate on the programme The Week, presented by Andrew Neil and guests Michael Portillo, who's usually there, the former Home Secretary Jackie Smith, and George Galloway. Now, Galloway, in his true demagogue style, uh, pointed at Jackie Smith, saying, You killed 1 million people in Iraq, referring to the deeply controversial 2003 Iraq War. Um, this was 5 years ago, so it was a few years ago now, but it's still relevant, I think, to talk about Galloway's odious hypocrisy. This is a man who he's sort of the darling of both far left activists and Islamists, which really says a lot. Bit of history: George Galloway used to be a member of the Labour Party. He was active in Scottish Labour Party politics. He's a Glaswegian. Um, but he left the Labour Party in protest against the Iraq War, which was his democratic right to do. He then co founded a party called Respect. And I don't know if there's ever been a party so much misnamed, a party that is such a misnomer, Respect. And yet it's a party that is full of spiteful anti Semites, full of anti UK bile, full of far left bigots, full of just some of the most unpleasant, obnoxious people around. Respect is a truly, thank goodness they're a small party now, but they did make some significant inroads in the mid 2000s. Anyway, so yeah, Galloway became disillusioned with the Labour Party, but he's become basically a far left firebrand. He famously appeared to the US Congress and berated them. Um, and he spent recent years basically making excuses for terrorist organizations, lying. I mean, he's told barefaced lies. This is a man who once praised Saddam Hussein to his face. And when he's challenged on that, he point blank denies it. So George Galloway, whilst he berates everyone else, whilst he calls members of the Blair cabinet warmongers and all the rest of it, and people may agree with that, but even if you agree with that, at least recognize Galloway's hypocrisy. I think there's many people who oppose the Iraq War who cannot stomach George Galloway, myself included. I oppose the Iraq War. I think it was a disaster. And I do think there were serious questions of trust and what the Blair administration, how they used intelligence. But George Galloway is a far left demagogue and an odious hypocrite. This is a man who runs a show called Sputnik. Sputnik is funded by the Kremlin. George Galloway is a traitor. I mean, it makes me sick that this is a man who thinks he can lecture people on murder and war, and yet he supported Saddam Hussein, who committed genocide against the Kurdish people. And this particular program, incidentally, was about what should be done about ISIS atrocities. George Galloway is absolutely revolting. He's an absolutely odious man who revels in far left demagoguery. And like all demagogues, he has a strong support. I really can't stomach the man, and I really think the fact that he is working for the Kremlin because Sputnik is Kremlin funded, he would do well to relocate to Moscow. He's an enemy within. I think Galloway is an absolutely odious hypocrite. And okay, hypocrisy, you could say it's commonplace in politics, but that sort of hypocrisy is particularly odious. accusing Jackie Smith and her party of killing a million Iraqis. By the way, that ignores the fact that most of the killings in Iraq were sectarian. They weren't by Western coalition troops. But leaving that aside, leaving that fact aside, the hypocrisy that George Galloway shows is insufferable. And I don't think the BBC should have invited him on. I think this man should be a pariah, not because he tells the truth. He doesn't tell the truth. He's a liar. He's a proven liar. And he is a discredited demagogue. This is a man who literally shook hands with Saddam Hussein, who told him he was a great man and he was honoured to be in his presence. And then he has the audacity to lecture the former Home Secretary on just war. Galloway is no pacifist. How can he be when he supports a genocidal dictator who started the Iran-Iraq war, invaded Kuwait, and committed a genocide against the Kurds? So whatever you think of Tony Blair and his government, and I accept that was also deeply controversial, George Galloway belongs in the dustbin of British politics. The man is a traitor, and he is an odious, tyrant-supporting hypocrite. I cannot stomach him. And you just have to look at videos of Galloway in them to see the Islamists coming out of the woodwork to defend him. Now, Galloway will say he condemns terrorism and all that, but you see the sort of people that support Galloway, they're plain Islamists. And there's a reason for that. He toes their narrative. Disgusting man.